Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports and Happy New Year. Well, a lot to talk about, and we're going to focus on golf in our first episode of the 2025 season. Why? Well, the opening drive portion of the PGA Tour gets underway in Maui. That's the Hawaiian leg of the PGA Tour. So why golf? I set out on my X feed and my other social media feeds in my daily edition of Dan on Sports Top 5. The number 5 story for this day, Thursday, January 2nd, was the PGA Tour resumes. Does anybody care? And that's the question. Does anybody care? I'm not here to disparage golf. I attempt to golf during the golfing season here in the Northeast. And I've always been an ardent follower of the PGA Tour, and I'll be among those who at some point checks in with what's going on over in Maui this weekend. But there's no question golf has taken a hit because of what's going on between LIV Golf and the PGA, the split in the tour, which has led to lower ratings and less revenue for the sport. Now, the sport might be bringing in revenue from a television standpoint, but don't kid yourself. The partners, the television partners, the media partners of the PGA are not happy with this split between the PGA and LIV Golf, which leaves some of the top names in golf not participating in PGA events. The only time you see these two together is when there is a majors tournament like the Masters or the U.S. Open, which leads us to this letter in Sportico, and I will link to it at Sportico.com from the commissioner of the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan. And what he did was he listed all the positives of the PGA Tour, and just in passing, without mentioning this huge division within professional golf by name, what he did was list all the superlatives, as you see up here, as I'm putting on the screen, all the superlatives of what's going on with golf. And then at the end of this piece on the Sportico website, he touches upon using, and this is what drives me crazy with these people, there's no more direct conversation. Like, we're not going to be able to read through this. He goes on and talks about the split in golf, but we'll get to that in just a moment. He wrote about some of the positives. In January, and he goes back to 2024, in January, we, meaning the PGA Tour, formed PGA Tour Enterprises. He lists that as a positive, and he goes on to explain all of that. In February, we announced the Player Equity Program, and he lists that and what it means. We incorporated limited field signature events. That's the answer to what LIV Golf is doing with all of its top-notch stars. And again, he goes into detail. We launched Fan Forward, the single largest outreach in our fan base in the history of our PGA Tour. Again, he's trying to build up the positives. I get it. He's doing what he's supposed to do as the commissioner of the PGA Tour. In November, we announced the most significant changes to our competitive structure in the history of the PGA Tour that will take effect in 2026. And he goes on and lists that. And in December, we announced our search for a CEO of the PGA Tour. All of these enhancements, boy, he sounds like a politician, doesn't he? All of these enhancements will help create a more entertaining PGA Tour. And on and on. Near the end, and this is the key, near the end, this is what he writes about. Lastly, I want to recognize that one of the fans' primary wishes, I would say it is the fans' most primary wish, but I digress. One of the fans' primary wishes is for a resolution to the division in men's professional golf. Real progress is being made, and we remain committed to the process and focused on what we can control. Real progress is being made. We've heard this line now for 2 years. For 2 years now, we have heard real progress is being made. Enough already. The fans want to see this division ended. Of course, he never mentions LIV Golf by name, and he just goes on to talk about this division. This division. I want to recognize that one of the fans' primary wishes, not one of the fans, it is the primary wish, is for a resolution to the division in men's professional golf. Cut the nonsense. Resolve this now. End it now. It has got to stop. Professional golf is at a crossroads, and 2025 is the crossroads year. The sport cannot continue to go on like this. It is a divided sport. Some of the top-notch stars are on the LIV Tour, and so you've got this division, and you're not seeing the best of the best. That's what made the PGA Tour so great. And if the PGA Tour is to become the PGA Tour again, if you're going to get Arnold Palmer versus Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson, I can go on and on, Scotty Scheffler versus John Rahm, you have got to bring an end to this division. And I've got to tell you this. I understand why LIV Golf, and in this case the players, went to LIV Golf because they want some kind of a guarantee. It's no more showing up and win, this amount of money because this is where I finished in the field. I earned first prize money. I only get fifth prize money because that's where I finished in fifth place. Sports has changed, and the game of golf has to change with it. So I can certainly understand where the players come from as far as jumping to LIV Golf. Now, I'm not going to get into the entities behind LIV Golf. I'm not going to get into that. But the reality is the sport needs to unify. The reality is Commissioner Monahan just touched upon touched on the periphery of what's wrong with the sport. Just went around the edges. He needs to do better. He needs to come clean, and he needs to be more forceful that this has got to stop. The PGA Tour is on the line this year, as much as LIV Golf. But more importantly, the sport of golf, the sport of professional golf, is at a crossroads. And just continuing to say, we're making real progress doesn't cut it. They have got to bring an end to this fissure now. They've got to heal the sport now, or it might not recover. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. Again, Happy New Year. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Also, subscribe to my newsletter. You can do that by going to sportscasterdan.com, sportscasterdan.com. Follow me on social media, whether it's Facebook or whether it's on X, where I'm under @DanLavallo. And you'll see what I'm trying to do this year, and that's issue my top 5, my daily top 5 in sports, and occasionally we'll turn it into commentary. In fact, this was number 5 on my list of 1 through 5 for Thursday, January 2nd. Again, thanks for subscribing.